Alright everyone, welcome back to my channel. Hope you've all had a smashing weekend wherever you may be in the world. So, today I'm going to be doing a video about the Parramatta Eels and their greatest ever team from 1947 to present day. So I'm going to be going through the players 1 through to 17 and I'm going to be giving you who I think is their greatest ever team. This is a video I've been looking forward to doing for a while now. I've had this list for quite a few years, but I've never actually made a video about it. I've tinkered around with it a bit, but tonight I'm going to give you the team. So before I get into today's video, I'd just like to say that if you're enjoying my content, please make sure that you like, share, subscribe, click that notification bell so you get a new email whenever I do a video. And also, if you get a chance, go over the Rugby League history. That's my Facebook page, and I've got a description in the comment section below, so you can go check that out if you get a spare moment. So without further ado, let's get into this video. I'm really excited to do it because Parramatta's my club. So at fullback, there's been a few choices I could have gone for, but I've decided to go for Jared Hayne. So Jared Hayne, he played with the club from 2006 to 2018. He won the Dally M twice whilst he was at Parramatta in 2009, 2014. He also won a host of other awards while playing for the club. He played 191 first grade games for us and scored 113 tries. He's one of the most talented players I've ever seen in my life so far. One of the most naturally talented players. He just did some incredible things with the ball, scored some incredible tries, some of the best tries I've ever seen. He basically carried the team during a really dark period in the club's history between, say, 2011 and 2013, when we were coming towards the bottom of the ladder. He was just such a freakish talent. He could play a number of positions, but I've gone for him at fullback. So, the second player on the left wing, I've gone for Luke Bate. Luke Bate debuted for the club as a teenager back in 1999. He played 264 first grade games for us and scored 124 tries. And as of 2020, he's our current top try scorer. He overtook Brett Kenny for the record. Luke Bate, I've always nicknamed him Mr. Reliable. He never let you down. He was a great winger. He was always there when you needed him. He was a fantastic goal kicker and a very loyal clubman. So what more could you want? At left centre, I've gone for Michael Cronin, the Crow. Mick Cronin, he's still our top point scorer of all time, despite being retired for 34 years. So that shows how many points he scored. He was a fantastic centre, a wonderful goal kicker. He played during the club's golden era, won 4 premierships with the club. He was just a fantastic player. What more can you say about Michael Cronin? At the other centre, I've gone for Steve Ella, the zip man. Steve Ella played with Michael Cronin in the same glory era of the 1980s. He won 4 premierships. He was dead quick, elusive, great with the ball in hand, a fantastic centre, represented state and country, and he's me pick for right centre. On the right wing, I've gone for Eric Groth Sr. Eric Groth Sr. He scored some of the greatest tries I've ever seen as a Parramatta fan, and as a Rugby League fan, most people would agree with me that he scored some of the greatest tries you'd ever see. You'd throw the ball to him on the wing, and he'd run down the wing and he'd just run over people. 5 or 6 people at a time. He'd just keep going. It's like he was made of, I don't know, he was like some kind of robot, you could see. He represented state and country. He was a fantastic player, won 4 premierships with the club. So he's me pick for right wing. In the halves, at 5'8", I've gone for Brett Kenny. Brett Kenny is probably one of the greatest players that ever lived. He held the club record for most games ever played until Nathan Hindmarsh overtook that about 10 years ago. He won 4 premierships with the club in that glory era. He scored 2 tries in the first 3 grand finals he played for. So in 1981, 82, 83, he scored 2 tries in each. And in the 1986 grand final, He also scored 2 tries, but both of them were disallowed. He was an absolutely fantastic player, one of the best players that you'll ever see. If you've got YouTube or you've got Facebook, search for his name and there'll be highlights galore to show you just how good he was. At halfback, I've gone for Peter Sterling. Sterlo was one of the greatest players that you'll ever see as well. I think, in my personal opinion, I think he's the greatest player that's ever played for Parramatta. He was a fantastic halfback. He was a great tactician. He was great in defence, great in attack. He could kick the ball wherever he wanted to on the park to get your team good field position. He was a competitor. He was one of those players where if there was a play coming in, he'd know what would be happening in the next 3 or 4 plays. He could just see ahead of time to see where the play was going to go, and he's just a no-brainer for that halfback position. At the props, I've gone for Nathan Kalis and Bob O'Reilly. Nathan Kalis played 251 first grade games for Parramatta between 1998 and 2010. He captained the club from the age of 21, and he captained the club to 2 minor premierships in 2001-2005, and he also captained the club to the 2001 Grand Final and 2009 Grand Final defeats. Captain Kalis, fantastic player, led from the front, great front rower, so he's one of my props in the team. Bob O'Reilly, he held the record for the most ever games in first grade history with 284 until that was overtaken by other people later on. He was a Parramatta junior. He was one of the first Parramatta players to represent Australia and represent his state. He played for the club in 2 different eras. So he played in the 60s and 70s, then he came back after his spell with Penrith, finished his career with Parramatta and won the 1981 Grand Final with Parramatta. He was nicknamed the Bear. He was a massive forward. He led from the front, great player, so he's my pick for the other prop. At hooker, I've gone for Steve Edge. Steve Edge joined the club from St George, where he'd already won 2 premierships, and he was the hooker for the first 3 premierships that Parramatta won. He was a great dummy half, great hooker, very tough. We've had some great hookers in the past and present with Reid Marnie, but Steve Edge gets me picked for the hooker position. In the second row, I've gone for Nathan Hindmarsh and Dick Thornett. Nathan Hindmarsh, he holds the club record for the most games played for Parramatta with 330. He was in the same mould as Ray Price. He just never stopped, missed a perpetual motion. He was great in defence, a great tackler. He set a lot of tackling records, Nathan Hindmarsh. But he also scored a lot of tries. He scored 60 tries, which is a lot of tries for a second rower. He never gave up on a play. He was a fantastic player, loyal to Parramatta through and through. So he's me picked for one of the second rowers. And the other second rower, I've gone for Dick Thornett. Dick Thornett, he was one of the first star recruits that the club got. In the 1960s, he came along with his brother Ken. Dick Thornett was a great ball playing second rower. He also, before he played rugby league, he represented rugby union with Australia, and he also represented Australia in water polo. So he was a talented sportsman, but when he came to rugby league, he set the competition alight. He was one of the best players in the competition back then, and I think he's one of Parramatta's best ever players, so he gets to be picked for the other second row position. And at lock, I've gone for Ray Price, Mr. Perpetual Motion himself. Ray Price was a courageous player, gave 110%. He played in 7 grand finals for Parramatta, won 4 of them. He was a fantastic player. He comes from rugby union originally, then he converted the league dead easy. He won the 1979 Rothmans Medal and the 1982 Dally M Medal. He also won Lock of the Year, I think 4 or 5 years in a row. He's a fantastic player. He's got a statue out the front of the ground. Well, I'm not too sure if it's out the front of Western Sydney Stadium, but when it was out the front of Parramatta Stadium, it was there with him holding the trophy over his head. Everyone loves Reid Price at Parramatta. It's a no-brainer. I've got him at lock. And on the bench, I've got Brian Hambley. Brian Hambley was one of Parramatta's first ever star recruits. We struggled for the first 10 or so years in the competition, and we signed Brian Hambley for £2,500 in the early 60s from South Sydney. While he was at Parramatta, he represented Australia and New South Wales. He was a fantastic player. He was voted one of the best players of the 20th century. So he's one of my bench spots. The second bench spot goes to Jason Smith. Jason Smith was one of the players that we signed from Canterbury during the Super League War. He played 89 first grade games for us. Jason Smith, I'm so glad I had the pleasure to actually watch Jason Smith. He was such a talented player, such a talented ball player. He did some really freaky things on the field. You can even go on YouTube now and you'll see a couple of highlights of some of the tries that he's done, where it's like he's got the ball on a string. He'll kick the ball over here and it'll land straight in the bread basket. He'll do a flick pass, do a dummy, and then inside, outside. He was just a freakish player, and he was just immensely talented. So he's me pick for the second bench spot. The third bench spot goes to Ken Thornett, the mayor of Parramatta. He was one of the first star players, along with Brian Hambley and his brother Dick, to sign for the club. Ken Thornett played many years at fullback for the club. He was held in high regard by all the other clubs. He was one of the best players in the competition. After he retired and after we built Parramatta Stadium, one of the main grandstands was named in his honour. He was a fantastic player. He was actually meant to sign with South Sydney originally, but somehow he ended up with us and we signed him, and the rest was history. So he's me pick for the third bench spot, Ken Thornett, the mayor of Parramatta. And the last bench spot goes to the current Canterbury head coach, Dean P. Dean P played 76 games for Parramatta. In the late 90s, he was one of the other players that come over during the Super League War from Canterbury, along with Jason Smith, Jim Dimmick and Jared McCracken. Dean P was a fantastic forward. He captained the club for many years. He led by example. He was very tough, but a great ball player. He was one of the best ball playing forwards in the competition. I had the pleasure of watching Dean P. He was always someone that you could look up to as a youngster watching the game, and he never let the club down. So he's me pick for the last bench spot. Now there's a lot of players that I've left out, and I've tinkered this list a lot. So if you've got your own team, or if you think I missed someone, please put your comments in the section below. Now, for the final bit of the team, I've got to pick the coach, and for this particular team, it's a no-brainer. I've gone for Jack Gibson, the original super coach, as his nickname. So Jack Gibson, he came to the club in 1981, and he delivered us a premiership in his first year. And then we ended up doing the three-peat with Jack Gibson, 81, 82, 83. And in my opinion, he's our best ever coach. Nobody's ever got to the same heights or the same level as Jack Gibson. So, that was a bit of a mouthful. That's me team. That's my greatest ever Parramatta team. From 1947 to 2020, current year. So, if you like me team, or if you've got any suggestions, please like the video, put your comments in the section below. I had a lot of fun making this team. I hope you have a lot of fun listening to the video. I'll be doing some more greatest teams coming up this week, so stay tuned, and as always, take care, and I'll catch us all later. Ta-ra.